Jim's pissed and drinking, and it's going to be a great episode.
3, 2, 1.
All right. Welcome back to Server Restart In. It's a weekly World of Warcraft podcast where three opinionated players like to get together to discuss their current thoughts and opinions about the game. My name is Jim, joined by Kristen.
Hi.
And Brian.
Hello.
And this week fucking sucks. So, to recap, we had a shitload of fucking thunderstorms roll through, which apparently decided to strike somewhere near my fucking house. So the modem, the router, and my PC got fucked. Spent a day fixing that, back and forth to the fucking store, go to boot up the fucking hardware tonight to fucking record, and that don't fucking work. It's against the same wall that my PC is on, and even though it was not turned on, the fact that it was still plugged in probably means that it got fucked. So, we're back to recording on our old way, and Jim's pissed and drinking, and it's going to be a great episode.
Technical difficulties for the whole episode.
So, if it sounds different, I'm sorry. I was having fun doing it the other way, but apparently Blizzard doesn't like fun, and they got me.
They got you.
I've been hit with the Nerf hammer, going back to my old mixing boards and janky-ass setups, and now we're still recording, though, because god damn it, you deserve a fucking podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, what are we talking about today, guys? What's fucking burning your biscuits?
Burning my biscuits.
I
Wish
don't-
I had biscuits to burn. Wow.
One good thing that did come out of this week is that I guess they put a hotfix in or whatever, so the Venari shit is account bound now. So now you don't have to.
That is nice.
That is
kind
nice.
of nice.
It's
Yeah.
It's a quality of life thing that probably should have been in their beginning since it was so hard to get to begin with.
I don't understand why they don't do that stuff right from the beginning.
I don't know. Maybe they thought that it wasn't going to be that, or I don't know. Maybe it was, if you allowed it from the beginning, then it would be easier to do the alts and you would have less things to do on the alt, and it would they felt it would reduce the quality of alt gameplay, which sounds dirty.
You could still go through and do all of your stories on all of your alts and all of the, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
but
so that's just a very small piece.
Right.
Of,
Well, I don't mean the story. I just mean doing like the actual Venari rep stuff.
Right.
You know, it's like having to go do those quests and unlock the mob piece by piece, and then having done that, it gives you access to those powers and all that stuff. That's kind of part of the character building, and maybe they didn't want to take that away.
But they already had the Torghast stuff account wide.
Yeah, but running a level of Torghast on a new alt isn't necessarily the same thing as having...
No. I mean, the stuff the upgrades that you can get from Venari that affect Torghast were already applied to your alts.
Oh yeah, there was some that were account bound.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I know like the one where you could buy the thing for like the cheap orb. I know that was account bound.
Yeah. I think all of the Torghast upgrades were.
Yeah, I thought
None
the
of the
Torghast
Maw
was, too.
ones, but all of the Torghast ones were account bound.
Yeah, but Torghast isn't necessarily like, well, Twisting Corridors is not account bound, so you still have to grind that out, and that's, I would argue, more engaging than the other ones.
Sure, but I mean, I'm just saying some of the Venari stuff, them having some of it be account bound and some of it just be character bound, didn't really make a lot of sense to me.
What would you get in Twisting Corridors that you wouldn't?
Nothing.
Because the mount is
The
Yeah,
mount is
bound,
account
but-
bound.
The mount, the appearance, and the pet are all account bound, so there's nothing you can get out of it other than having an easy way to get up to, rank 3 to farm your legendaries. Because you can
Yeah.
if you go in and out of twisting corridors, you can go in until you find the right wing that you need.
Yeah.
Do the first 6 floors and get
Yeah.
the legendary you need at rank 3. So maybe that was their reasoning for that, but I don't know.
Interesting.
But yeah, so they did that. That was, I mean, it is a good change. I think
My biggest thing is that when I level alts and I want that missive item thing to craft like 168 gear, because it's like 3 items level under heroic gear, heroic dungeon.
shit.
So
Okay.
it's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a good bump up whenever you hit level 60.
It also unlocks sockets for alts because apparently you can buy sockets as well.
Oh yeah, you can buy sockets
yeah,
from
they're
Venari.
expensive though. So.
Yeah, they're
They are
very
expensive, but the fact that an alt can buy them now without having to farm the rep.
I still haven't bought any on my.
Oh, I haven't either.
I haven't
I
been
don't
in
care.
Venari or in the Moth for a while.
Yeah, I just don't care. I just don't care. It sounds terrible, but I don't care. Did we talk about Soul Ash being?
I think we briefly mentioned that they removed the cap for Soul Ash. It was in our flurry of news last week, I believe.
Okay, I
where
didn't
Jim
remember.
just skipped over everything and didn't give anybody a chance to talk.
I just didn't know if we had talked about it just on our own and not on the podcast or not. But it's a good thing, but it's frustrating because I legitimately had just spent all of my Soul Ash to make room for more. And then they made that change. So that kind of sucks.
Yeah, I mean, is what it is, right?
Yeah.
You know, bits and pieces flowing down and yada, yada, yada. So
It feels bad because it's like if they knew that stuff they were going to have to change it, why not just make it that way in the first place? It feels like they make it annoying so people get mad and then they change it so people aren't mad anymore. Well, why make people mad in the first place? Why not just make them happy? You know?
They have enough of the systems that you think they'd learned that by now.
Right.
But I legit believe that they're just not savvy enough to think about that ahead of time, and they probably just don't have enough testing in place to detect those outlier type anomaly situations, that just don't creep up until people get this far. So
yeah, I just don't get it. How does somebody who doesn't have any business experience, you know what I mean, look at it and be like, hey, from a player perspective, this isn't fun. But the people who are making it, how do they not?
Because you're one player, and it's not as if every person out there is going, no, this is bad. You know what I mean? And
I guess
it's I don't want to say, I mean, it is, it's myopic, but it's not meant to be like, like a bad thing. It's just you're seeing it from your perspective, but they see it from, again, their business side of thing. And like you said, somebody with no business experience looking at it is going to see things differently than somebody that's running a business or somebody that's trying to develop a product, because especially one that's used by, millions of people. Whereas, when Brian and I threw together that add-on, it's like there was like 5 people to cater to, so it's easy to make adjustments to it to kind of figure out how to make it work and all that stuff. So when your customer base is that low or that small, it's a lot easier to make something that appeases everybody, because most of the people at that point in time are looking for that thing.
right.
Whereas now you have all kinds of people out there playing this game, playing it for different reasons and enjoying different aspects of it. So there has to be some sort of balance and middle ground to where, you're making it as appealing to the majority of the people as possible, kind of thing. So, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. What else has been going
On
on?
the other hand, my warlock was sitting at 55, 56 for a while. And so I went ahead and finished up Threads of Fate because I thought for sure I had like a full level of rested XP and I would surely get pretty close, if not 260. And sure as hell, I finished Threads of Fate and sat a tick under 58.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that didn't happen last time, which is really weird. So now
Did you
I'm
do anything
trying to-
different? Did you run some dungeons? Did you? Like the
I mean, I
last time?
ran a few dungeons, but not a lot.
Can you do callings when you're doing
Nope.
Threads of Fate?
No.
No?
Mm-mm.
Did you do more?
No, I primarily did the world quests and the
objectives.
bonus XP objective quest. Yeah. So I don't know.
I'm telling you, that was my experience with the. Was it my warlock?
It definitely feels weird because you can't do anything. Like
Yeah.
I was like, well, they made that change to Venereal, whatever her name is,
Venereal.
in the Maw. So I was like, oh, I had tailoring, so I already had on my blacksmith. I already had the item unlocked for the upgrade. I'm like, oh, cool. Well, I'll just go see if I can grab it, just out of curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
And I jumped to the mall. And it spit me right back out, and I'm like, ah, shit, I forgot about that. I can't go in. Oh man. So I'm like sitting here like, oh, okay, well, there's some world quests that I just don't like doing in this expansion. A lot of them I don't like doing. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna go back to my home area and just queue for some battlegrounds and just farm some marks every so often, I guess, or something. I don't know.
So, what I have found to be a really easy thing to do is, and this works for me, is I will do the main story, and you're going to hit 60 before you finish it. Then just go, then you can go actually accept Threads of Fate again and immediately pick a covenant without having to finish the main
The story. Yeah.
And I feel that flows better.
Yeah.
And it might actually give you, Brian, a chance to explore Ardenweald a little bit more if you were so inclined.
Well, you know what's funny is I totally intended to do this normal storyline, and just by habit, I guess, I don't know.
Clicked
At
it.
this point,
Yeah.
I clicked Threads of Fate, and I'm
Yeah.
like, son of a
And it
bitch.
said, "Are you
'Cause
sure?"
I was like, okay,
and you're like, "Oh yeah."
I picked
Yeah.
Night Fae, and I was gonna go through the storyline just so I could
Yeah.
experience the Tyrande stuff and
Yeah.
Wumsamdi thing, but nope.
Oh,
Nope.
yeah. I'm doing that on my hunter right now. The campaign stuff, and I got to the part with the previous Night Warrior and all that stuff, and it's him and his husband or whatever, and they're both like stag forms. And what did they say?
Dear.
One of them
paid a dear price.
Yeah, he paid a dear price, and it was spelled like normal. But I'm like, is this supposed to be a fucking joke because they're stags? I'm like, that's pretty funny. I got a kick out of that. It was like, but I don't know if that's really the case. But I thought it was pretty funny. It's probably not, but
I mean, it's fine. I'll start the campaign quest eventually, but
Yeah.
and I could do the side quests if I want to, but I kind of don't. So
yeah, I really need to go through and do like all like the side quests, just like the yellow side quests or whatever, just to kind of pick up some more story of the zones and explore them a little bit more and all that stuff. I just can't bring myself to do it.
I think Ardenweald's the only one I haven't done on my warrior. So, and I
haven't
don't
done
think
any.
I haven't. There's not much I haven't done in that zone. So, but I do know that there's at least one on my map still. So
I think we
I should go
did the
back and do it.
majority of them in Bastion when we first started leveling, and then realized that we really didn't have to do that to
I
get
know
through
I
the
was
story.
when we first started, I was doing everything. So
So I did a lot of stuff in Bastion, but not really anywhere else. So there's a lot left to do. There's a lot left to go kind of poke around at. So I don't know if I will do that. Maybe I will.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I just reinstalled the South Park Stick of Truth game, so I forgot how good that was.
Yeah, it's a good game.
It's-
I played Just Cause 4 for like 2 hours earlier just to blow stuff up and chain cars up and just to get a little stress out, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm drinking.
Oh my
Oh.
God.
Nothing has gone right. Everything's just been a pain in the ass, and
Well, you're a pain in the ass.
yeah, you know it. So yeah, I don't know. So yeah, Threads of Fate. It's just it doesn't really feel engaging enough to, because I logged into another character that is on Threads of Fate.
It needs a little bit more to it. It's funny because now
it's just bones.
this is the third one. Well, no, second one. I mean, I started them on like 2 other characters, but this will be the second full one I did, and it just needs something else. I don't mind it. I still like going around and doing what I want to do to level, but there needs to be. I wish it'd let you at least go in the mall or something,
Yeah.
or start parts of the campaign quest, maybe. I don't know. I guess that leads
Yeah.
right back into the main storyline. I don't know.
Well, no, like if you're doing the campaign quest or like the Covenant quest stuff, that's all like end game content, I guess, because you're 60. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what they expect you to do, whether it's queue for dungeons or queue for.
Yeah. I think
Battlegrounds
they
or
expect you to
PvP.
just
I mean-
do alternate stuff like dungeons.
You
Pretty
really,
much.
you still get a decent amount of XP for doing dungeons and doing battlegrounds, so it really isn't all that bad. It's just I was slightly overwhelmed that I had that much left whenever I finished. So
Sure.
Yeah. Well, when I'm leveling, I usually try to do a couple dungeons here and there just to kind of break up the monotony, you know.
Mhm.
And then when I don't, I notice it because I don't know if I was at the end of the story or if I was at the end of Threads of Fate or something, and I was nowhere near where I normally was. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, I haven't been queuing.
what sucks too is that there's only 4 dungeons available before 60
Yeah.
Yeah.
or whatever. Like, come on, put them in, especially for Threads of Fate. Just throw them in the cycle.
Yeah. Make
That'd be
make
nice.
all of them available.
Well,
Because
Yeah.
they want you to get really good at those 4 dungeons.
maybe
Yeah.
maybe we
That-
could use the
Necrotic
practice.
That's what I think. I got Necrotic Wake every single time.
Yeah.
Because
Because everybody probably left
3
it.
different times.
Everybody probably left it because it's such a shitty dungeon. That one is not my favorite. I am not.
But no,
a
that's
fan.
that's what got me thinking about. I was watching somebody on Twitch the other day that was they had all the things add-on
Yeah.
installed, and they were just burning through achievements. And I'm like, this is the one thing I really never go back and do anymore. And it's funny because one of the things that was mentioned in Guild the other day was something about archaeology. Like, they just gave up on
Yeah.
archaeology is one of the
Yeah, did
Yeah.
they
They
have
didn't
it in BFA?
have archaeology. No.
yeah they did.
They had it in BFA. I don't think they have it now. I
Yeah, they
think
don't have it
did
now.
anything with it now.
Which I guess that makes kind of sense.
Yeah, I mean,
I
what are
mean,
you gonna go digging around for?
Shit about the
in,
Right.
first,
you know,
the first ones.
the
I mean, there's all
Shadowlands?
kinds of shit.
I mean, yeah, but
I mean,
I guess that's a fair point.
I think it's probably
yeah,
just
I guess
because
you're really digging up. I mean, it went from being like archaeology to super like hyper focused on the artifact portion of it rather
Yeah.
than the
yeah,
Yeah, you know, when they made it into a fucking game instead of actually like a way to explain lore.
I
Yeah.
know, because some of the stuff was actually good, but
some
then
of it
like
was really cool. Yeah, I
some of
loved
it was
it.
just garbage filler, and it was like, why are you doing this again?
yeah,
You don't have to do this.
I loved
Especially
it.
right now, if it feels like such a hands off part of the game,
Yeah.
yes, put the lore there. You know, it's such a great opportunity.
Right.
But no, I mean, I thought about it a few times to go back and do stuff, but honestly, it's funny because when you get the feeling of being burned out, it just affects everything, and I'm like, again, I'm not to the point where I'm going to shut it off, but I don't think I want to go all the way back there and do that right now. So
Yeah.
Well, I did
that was
happen.
interesting because it made the dude on Twitch made it look like it'd be fun, but then because I still have the achievement from like Lich King, the Oculus in the Lich King where you got to have 3 different dragons done or something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't, you can't solo that one or something. You know what I mean? Like, there's one of them you can't solo.
I think
and
it's
I
the
don't
one where
have
you
that
have
yet
all the
still.
same color.
Yeah, I think it was that. There's also the one I think where you everybody has to get impaled on that one.
Oh.
The Rhino boss is the
Zul-
last
Oh, yeah.
The Drakari one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then there's the one where you have to interrupt the guy from doing his transformations at all.
Oh yeah, but that's easy.
Well, sure.
And now it is.
Yeah.
We did that in Lich King,
Yeah.
where it's the guy that turns into is it Murabi?
Yeah, I think so.
It's the one that it's the dude that turns into the mammoth.
Yeah.
In that same dungeon, Gundrak.
Yeah.
I think is what it was.
It was.
Where you have to go around the outside of the thing and drop the bridge, kill the snake guy, and all that stuff. And yeah, you had to like keep him from transforming, and you had to like interrupt. And like every time you interrupted him, his cast got faster.
Yeah.
So you had to be fucking on it towards the end, especially because like you were just sitting there waiting to burn him, and it was just like,
yep.
oh, it's gonna
And
be
if you
close.
missed it, because let me tell you, it was.
Yeah, usually by the time you missed it, he was almost dead, and there was no. It was like, well, do it next week.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever get the Scotty mount
I have it.
from
Jim doesn't.
the Pinnacle, I think.
Utgard
Utgard Pinnacle?
Yes. I have run the dungeon
Yeah.
so many times to try and get that fucking blue proto Drake. I probably ran that dungeon almost as much as our friend ran Utgard Keep trying to get them fucking purple pants.
Oh my god, that was so funny.
Purple pants.
The
Back
purple
at the end,
pants.
at the end of a heroic, you got an epic.
Yep.
Back in Lich King, the
Right.
last boss gave you, and there was tank pants.
Saronite pants or something like that.
I don't know. He dropped like epic pants or whatever for plate, and he was a warrior, and we would do it, and he just would never get it.
No. I got him. You got him.
Yeah.
Because we were both
That
Death
was
Knights.
that trying to collect that sword, the sword and the shield from the epics from heroics, because the shield was that like awesome Lordaeron one that has the 2 swords on it.
Yeah. From the
And the
Bronze
sword
Drake
from-
one, calling a strat, right? Yeah.
Yep. And then there was a sword that kind of paired with it, that came from, I think it was Utgard Pinnacle, on the last boss.
Yeah.
I remember that because when I finally got it together, it was great.
Yeah. That's the
Up
good
until
thing.
up until they introduced transmog, because
Yeah.
you couldn't transmog then,
This
so I lost it a lot.
that is something I can say is a positive about Blizzard is their transmog system is hands down the best transmog system. Like the best way to glamour items into something else. It is hands down. Like they did a really good job with it. You know, you don't have to hold on to your items anymore, so that helped your inventory space and you could go back and get them, and that was really great, you know. And even though it's a pain in the ass, it is good that they made it so you had to be able to equip it, right?
Yeah.
Your class had to be able, like, so you couldn't just like go on a paladin or a warrior and just get everything and unlock everything, right?
But that's bullshit because I looked like a hot mess in BC as a paladin healer. Because
Yeah,
I
I
had
know.
leather,
Cloth
everything
and
else.
leather, and absolutely, I am right there with you. Anything with plus healing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the transmog system. I don't ever change my stuff anymore, and I actually get quite a few compliments about it
Yeah.
because it's like the mythic DK set from It's the Mythic DK set from Battle for Dazar'alor, and it's got that giant pauldron. That's the Triceratops skull, and on a Tauren, it's just freaking ginormous. So it looks pretty good, and it pairs well with that stupid wood mask from Ardenweald that looks like a wooden goat face or something like that, because it's like bone colored. So
Bone
storm.
Yeah. Yeah. So see, I said something positive about WoW.
Yeah.
Woo!
And just God probably struck me down preemptively for that statement. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm hoping that maybe my burnout will end at some point.
Well, hey, speaking of BC, they will start testing tier 4 raids next week.
Yeah, I think I saw that they were unlocking the Shangri-La and the what's the other one?
Oh.
Sky
Ogrilla. Ogrilla.
Yeah,
Ogrilla. And
Ogrilla.
the Skyguard.
Yeah,
Skyguard, yeah. They're unlocking those in the
Skyguard.
Yeah. They were unlocking those. I mean,
The Apex Crystal game, yeah.
Yeah.
Simon said.
Yeah.
yeah.
I wonder if that add-on is going to work.
Well,
I did that by hand every day until I
did.
got exalted. It was
She would
terrible.
whis-
I did during when I was doing it. I would whisper Jim
She
what
would
the
whisper
order
the-
of the
the-
stuff was.
the first
Oh.
character of each color, she would whisper it and then read it back. Or
Yep.
she'll like have me read it back. I'm
Yep.
like, God.
I'm pretty sure that's what we wound up doing too, like
Yep.
eventually. Yeah.
Yep.
Little,
It was terrible. And then when I was doing it now, because I was doing it on my druid, I just got the damn add-on Ogre Lazy. That was it. And I just I know I love the name. And I just use that, and it's so much easier. Like so much easier. And I was like, yep, I'm just gonna keep doing that. So much better.
It's funny because like everything nostalgia wise, of course, I didn't start playing until mid 06, which was roughly like 7 months before BC came out. So I think I was like 53 or something like that when BC released.
You're old.
You're
I
53.
was 53 years old.
Okay. All right. That is a thing.
But no, so most of my nostalgia comes from BC, and oh my god, every time I read about stuff, it gets me excited. I'm probably not going to play it nowhere near as much as I used to, or even if at all, but I'm still kind of excited. Which even then was like that was the days of emo guilds, and it was so hard to put together groups and actually stay consistent and get stuff done. And it was just, even heroic dungeons in the beginning of the game were like hell.
Yeah.
Really?
So
I do remember
Oh, yeah.
that. I do remember them being hell, but I was in a guild that ran those consistently. I mean, not a good guild. We only killed we only did 10-man raids. We never did the frickin' what's the one in the water with Vash, Lady Vash.
Oh, Serpent Shrine?
SSC.
Serpent Shrine. Yeah, Cavern. We never did that, and we never did the Illidan, Black Temple.
What's the one with Ashes of Alara, the four boss one?
Oh,
Tempest Keep.
Tempest Keep, yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing that.
Yeah.
Trying to get the ashes.
Oh, the
You don't
eye?
have the
I don't remember what it's
ashes?
called.
No, I don't have the fucking ashes. I
Really?
also don't have Thunder Fury, but I did get the first binding
Yay.
off a guard.
Yay.
And I went in this week and got nothing. So,
Hmm.
but,
Well, welcome to your life for the next 6 years.
I mean, I'll forget about it and go, oh yeah, I have half of that. I should go finish that.
Yeah.
We
Well-
should start a server restart guild in Classic that'll go into BC.
Ah.
And all 10 of our listeners, including my 2 Apple devices that download stuff, can join us.
Oh no!
So basically, you're saying you're going to multi-box.
Oh, you can't do
I
that.
know.
They made that
You can
illegal
multi-box.
thing. No, they made it
No.
a illegal thing now. right?
No,
Didn't
you
they?
can still multi-box as long as you control it all.
Oh, sure. So you just need another hand.
Well, he's only playing with one hand anyway.
Oh, well then you need two other hands.
What's that look for, Brian? Did I divulge your secrets?
I'm just gonna play the game. That's all I'm just gonna do. But no, we should totally start a guild that everybody can join up in.
I'm totally going to be a Shadow Priest because that was the time of Shadow Priests, the rise of the Shadow Priest in BC. Mana batteries.
I'm conflicted because I want to be a paladin for Rhett because Rhett was awesome in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Not for anything except
Wasn't
for
it
just running around the
Shakadins?
world.
Is that where-
Shakadins.
is that Shakadins?
Shakadins.
And
Shakadins
then-
were holy paladins, though.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also hunters though because you have those badass little crawlers between Hellfire and Zingermarsh.
Oh, the
That was like-
Ravagers?
Yes.
Oh,
the
yeah.
first one I tamed, I called him Ball Snatcher. I'm pretty sure that he is still on that hunter that I have.
I am.
It's on my other account on another server somewhere.
I'm torn between a Shadow Priest and a Warlock.
Yeah, I don't know what I would play. I mean, when I first started playing, it was when I first started really playing. It was the tail end. I think Sunwell was out,
Mhm.
and that's when I really dove in and played. And I played a little bit of a paladin on the Alliance, just to level, and then we switched to Horde,
Mm-hmm.
and then we leveled and wrote stuff, and we made a bunch of characters for that.
Yep.
And they were like I think they were like in the 50s. Like my highest one was like a warlock.
Yeah, that was
And then-
Nagash.
Yep.
And Z.
And then they announced Death Knights. And then they said to unlock a Death Knight, you had to have a character that was level
55.
58.
58 or 55? I thought it was 55. They
Yes.
started at 50.
I think because Death Knights
58?
came out at 58 from their starting zone, you had to have a character to 58 to
That's
be
a
able to
question I
unlock
remember.
it.
I don't remember. Anyway,
But
yeah.
we leveled my warlock,
Yeah.
and then I left him in Ungoro Crater
Yeah.
forever,
Yeah.
and until the end of Lich King when I leveled him up,
Yeah.
and then when they introduced the Dungeon Finder, me and another guy just leveled our locks and just kept looking up all like the different hybrid specs. Like I'm pretty sure I went like an Imp Destro spec or whatever, and you would just go into dungeons and just set everything on fire.
Oh, it was terrible.
It was hilarious.
It was so bad.
and we're like, fuck the tanks. We're just pulling
Yeah.
all the threat and just
Yeah.
melting everything.
That was terrible. We had a friend who was trying to tank, and the two of them went in, and I went in on my Shadow Priest, and it was at the time when Shadow Word Death was just announced, or just put into the game, and there was no cooldown on it, so that was basically all I was doing was spamming Shadow Word Death. It was hilarious.
Was that the like execute or something like
Yes.
that you guys had?
Yes. But there was no cooldown on it, and you could just use it. And yeah. I want to say you could just use it anytime, and it was just, it was ridiculous at the beginning. It was pretty awesome. That was fun. And our friend was like, I don't ever want to tank again. Because they just kept pulling threat, and it was so funny. Oh, man.
Well, I tell you what, if Shadowlands continues to be slow and dull, I might just switch over and play majority of that if
Right.
it comes out around the
Right.
same time frame as the other one released in late summer.
Yeah.
yeah.
Just because I would love to just go ahead and I would love to relive all that part. Classic, I didn't care so much about, just because like the one solid memory that I have from Classic is running around as a Ret Paladin mining in Ungoro Crater.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And somebody ran by and inspected me or noticed that I had a two-handed mace and asked me why I was spec Ret. And went into I remember some garbage about how either I was stupid or it's stupid. I don't recall. It's been too long ago, but it's so fucking burned in my memory. Like that's just such garbage.
Well, that was back then too. It's like there was, classes had 3 specs. Druids had 4, but if you were gonna play it in any
Druids only had 3 specs.
oh,
was
because
before the Guardian.
Yeah, because
Feral
Feral
was
and Guardian were all on the
the same.
same. Yeah.
okay,
That was even. Oh, that was like Lich King or Mist when that came out.
but regardless of that, if you rolled a certain class, you were just one spec. You know
Yeah,
what
they
I mean?
didn't have dual specs. then.
Well, it's not even that. It's like you were expected to play like if
Oh yeah,
somebody
because
saw
all the main gear and stuff didn't support anything but one. He's like a
Yeah.
paladin. Like
Yeah.
a paladin's tier sets were all. Then they were all just
Holy.
healer.
yeah,
healing
and,
gear.
and warriors were always prot,
Yeah.
and so if you saw anything else, it was well that person must not be good at the game, which
Yeah, well,
is a
I
very
mean, you'd have
elitist
to get
attitude.
the offset gear in order to get anything to do anything with. And
Yeah.
at that point, you'd have to have something on farm and then get lucky enough to get it.
Yep.
Or
And-
be in one of those silly guilds where you had to get currency, like DKP or whatever
Yeah.
it was, and spend it.
Yeah. Or
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Because
That's why
gear was
That's why I think BC was a turning point because it changed a lot
yeah.
of the gameplay and stuff, and even running Karazhan, like, I mean, we ran from the beginning to the end because during the middle of BC somewhere, they started dropping badges in Karazhan.
Yep.
So they've had badge gear from the beginning, right? Because you can get badge gear like heroic dungeon gear or something like that level with badges. At least is that what it is?
I don't remember. I don't.
But they did introduce badges at some point in BC because we used to run Karazhan to get more badges to spend on the Isle of Kael'danas or whatever the hell it was called.
Oh,
in the last patch.
Where Sunwell was.
right.
Mm-hmm.
God, I remember when that came out. Ugh.
Yeah, and
Man.
then
That was interesting.
That
on
was
a PvP
fun.
server, that was really interesting.
Yeah. Well,
I
even on a PvE server, it was still, it was interesting too. I mean, because you still had, Horde and Alliance both over there, You just were fighting over mobs and not, each other. So it was kind of neat.
Yeah, all the story stuff from that stuff is really cool. I mean, I like because I went back on my DK during Lich King and did all like the lore master and the seeker shit and all that stuff, and so it just
Especially like in Netherstorm. I like
Yeah.
the storylines out there with like the busted up old town floating around and shit
Yeah.
that you get to go to.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I just like the kind of the slower, almost the slower gameplay. The slower, things weren't, all everything's proc based and everything, it was kind of a slower gameplay a little bit. It felt like,
I look forward to it a lot.
yeah, I like that. That's one of the reasons why I like Final Fantasy so much
Well.
is it's a little bit slower. And I can't keep up with WoW these days, or I don't really want to.
You got old ball syndrome. That's your problem.
Yeah, my old balls can't keep up with WoW, I guess. Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, every now and then I like that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know if it was masochistic of me, but I went and rolled a new tune on a classic server, and it was a RP PvP server.
Didn't last very long though, right?
No,
It
I got-
lasted like a night, if that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I might log back in. I don't know.
Was there role playing going on? Was there a lot of
No,
role
because
playing
there's
going on?
nobody in the starting areas.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I saw maybe 1 or 2 people in the starting area.
Yeah.
Like is it Brill? No, it's the town before Brill. Death Knell?
Yeah.
Whatever the starting thing is.
Yeah, Death Knell.
And it's just going around, stabbing stuff, hoping not to die, because rogues are squishy. Wishing I had a second weapon.
Level 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like 2 years away.
Wait, was that? No, that was Warriors, wasn't it?
I
Or was that Rogues?
I don't know.
That was Warrior was annoying because I'm pretty sure it was higher than that. Maybe it was 10 when you got 200 roll. Anyways, so the other thing that I kind of wanted to chat about was, I don't know if you've heard of WoW Killer before. It's a podcast. They record on Twitch, but it's Taliesin.
Taliesin.
And yeah, that guy. And
Is it Bellular?
it's the guy named Garrett from Angry Chicken. He
Oh.
does a bunch of different Blizzard type
Oh.
podcasts.
I think I might
but-
have watched one of their things before on Twitch.
Yeah, so the Garrett guy is on the instance, and Taliesin is
Taliesin.
Taliesin. So, but one of the things that they mentioned, and one of the things that Taliesin was harping on, was how the story stays, or the engagement of the player base stays more consistent in an expansion that has a well-established antagonist with a well-known end goal or something to that effect. And it's funny because I know we've talked about it in different forms, but it never really that never really stuck out to me before. But in reality, that's really true. Quite a bit. Because what's the most, in your opinion, what is the most, or at least the top 2 best expansions lore-wise?
Wrath.
Wrath and Legion.
Yep.
Exactly.
'Cause
And
you had
what
Lich
do they
King and
have in
Sargeras.
common?
Arthas and Illidan.
No, Sargeras
I mean,
for Legion.
well, oh, Sargeras. That's right. Well,
But just well-known big
well,
baddies,
Yeah.
yeah.
well-established, and we understand what their end goal is for the most part, right? Even if it's just mass destruction of everything or whatever it may be, we still know that they're big baddies, and it almost seems overwhelming that we could even defeat them,
Right.
right?
Right.
And the fact that we know that and everything that's happening is either, whether indirectly or directly, has to do with the fact that that thing exists, right? And is doing what they're doing in their little bad way. So, because one of the things that immediately came to mind was, BFA. BFA, while I thought it was fun for the most part, I mean, it didn't take super duper big breaks, I don't think. It's still trashed, in my opinion. It trashed 2 major story arcs. Inzoth. N'Zoth was one, right?
Yeah.
And 2, by far, Ashara, right?
Yeah.
So Ashara's not dead, right? But the fact that we never seen anything about her, and this was it, and it was just a fucking patch.
Yeah, no, they
You know what I mean?
They
And we
did
got
not,
a little bit in Nyalotha, and that was it. Like,
She-
come on, that could have been its own fucking expansion by
Like-
far.
Lady Ashara has been around since Classic, right? She has been like this big whole, like, mysterious creature in the shadows sitting
Well,
her Naga
and wow,
forces.
she's always been mysterious.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what I mean.
Yeah, well, like I mean, in the Warcraft series itself, I don't know for certain if she actually has a part, but it's still well established before WoW starts. You know,
Right. Anything that's like Well of Eternity or War of the Ancients, she might be in.
Yes.
Before the Sundering kind of thing. But
Mhm.
it's not anything big. But yeah, you're right. She was like this big, this big bad that was just kind of out there that when we finally got to deal with her, it was just kind of like, oh, we just rolled over her.
yeah.
And it could have been
I
because we
mean-
faced all these other big bad
Well, Eternal Palace was was fun. I mean,
Yeah,
it was a
we
good
did. I
dungeon.
don't feel like we just rolled over her. I mean,
Yeah, but she.
But
did,
in terms of the story, we did just roll over that.
yeah.
Like
Right,
they
it was a
rolled over
patch.
that, and
And
it was way
and-
more important than that.
and
you
she
know?
played a
Right.
bit part in Nyalotha,
Yeah.
where she gave us a dagger and then just left. So where the fuck is she? Who the hell knows?
We still have the priest's dagger, the
Zalatash.
out there,
We do.
The character, not the actual
not the dagger.
The dagger. Oh, the dagger's still out
Oh yeah,
there.
the character.
Yeah, we still have the
I
dagger,
don't really care about the dagger anymore, though.
but the character is out there now, which is interesting.
Well, no, because we used the dagger to kill N'Zoth, right? Or to get into N'Zoth to break the carapace.
Oh yeah.
So, but you're right. But the old god essence or creature or whatever personality is out there and
Yeah.
said something about seeing us again. But I don't think that you can say that having that big end objective necessarily makes good expansion, because Cataclysm was all Deathwing, right? We knew where we were going with that, yet the expansion
Cataclysm-
wasn't that good.
No, but that was because they made some pretty big changes to they made it, they wanted to make it go back to how it was before Wrath, because it was super Wrath made everything super casual, right? People were so mad about that. People were so angry about, oh, it's super casual, it's terrible. And so they said, okay, well, we're going to make it hardcore. And they found out the same way that Wildstar found out. There are many less people who like things hardcore than they thought. Many less. I mean, like Wildstar is no longer a thing anymore because
To be
of
fair,
that.
those dungeons were actually really fun when
They-
they were difficult in the beginning.
Yeah.
But by the time that you should have gotten to the point where you overgeared them and could do more than like 3 mobs at a time, you know what I mean? Because in Lich King, we were pulling every group together. We weren't CCing anything at all at that point. Whereas in BC, we were CCing
Yeah.
everything in the group
Yes.
and picking them off one at a time.
Yes.
But nobody liked running 4-hour dungeons. So
Yeah.
yes, getting
Yeah.
to the point where you could run 20-minute dungeons was kind of fun. But it still once you just burn them over and over and over and they turn them into token farms,
Yeah.
it just got really stale. So
Yep.
going back into Kata, when they introduced that difficulty again,
Yep.
it was really fun at first.
Yep.
But then they didn't scale the gear or something, or the increase in stats the same way that they scaled complexity.
Yeah.
Because at a certain point, I think you should overgear it just enough so you can skate through some of it or most of it. Probably not to the Lich King's extreme, but just enough where you don't spend another 3 hours in a dungeon.
Right.
And that was the thing. Like you spent all that time in there, and
Right.
like even at that time, I think they took out the purples at the end of the dungeon.
I feel like that's what the problem is you were spending so long in the dungeon. Say you spend 3 hours in the dungeon and the gear wasn't commensurate to the amount of time that you were putting into it. You know what I
and
mean?
some of it was just fucking hard. Like,
Yeah. And that's what I mean.
it wasn't
like
fun to go back and try to
it-
retry.
the gear should have been, maybe a little higher for those dungeons. Maybe, have an adjustable gear thing where, okay, these dungeons are easier, so we're going to have a little bit lower gear here. These dungeons are a little harder, so the gear is going to be a little bit higher.
But
Right?
back to like Jim's point though, like I definitely don't think that was. I think that there was other reasons other than the story, because the story actually wasn't. The story wasn't bad. If we could have done anything, it would have been like. I would have preferred more of into. It would have been better if Deathwing exploded out of the planet maybe halfway through the expansion,
Instead
or
of
like at the very
beginning.
last
Oh, right
patch
at
or
the,
something.
the beginning, yeah. So there was
Well,
some
Instead of the
build up
beginning,
to
just
it.
so they could say, "Oh, the whole world has changed." Like,
Yeah.
who gives a shit? Like,
I mean, that would be
I
kind
don't-
of jarring to implement that midway through the patch, though.
Oh,
Especially,
God.
You know what sucks is, like, people wanted to fly in the old world, right?
Right.
And like, I don't know if that was the actual reasoning behind doing a lot of that redo, or the fact that they just learned so much that like, oh man, we could just make the beginning experience so much better now.
Right.
Which I could totally get that. And it was fun at first, like re-leveling and going through that stuff was actually interesting.
Yeah.
But then like, okay, well now we just lost all this world,
Yeah.
right? And now that's just gone, and only till now, other than private servers, have we been able to go back and experience that.
Yeah.
But
I kind of like that though.
Yeah.
Because the world is changing, right? Like it's kind of like, remember you and I were talking about this before, Brian, about how the world it's evolving, it's changing, and remember how we were talking about like how you wanted that to kind of happen.
They should maintain a level of persistence, world of evolution.
World events happen, and then after they've happened, their effects
things alter over.
Stay.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Well,
Yes.
right, and I think that would like, if they could actually maintain that, then there would be I don't think there would be much in the way of nostalgia points and stuff like that. And it wouldn't have been such a big deal. But in this case, it was such a drastic change, and it was so different from not having a full continent of new content to go do, right? That something was extremely off about that expansion. And I don't know, it was but from the story perspective, I don't think it was such a bad thing. You got to learn a lot about like the Wildhammer dwarves, the Dragonmaw clan, right?
Which they turned into a bad guy for fucking warlords. The first dungeon before you could go through the new portal in Warlords, Blackrock Depths or whatever, that was Dragonmaw. They joined they joined up with they became loyal to Garrosh. So like
it kind of makes sense.
The whole like pre-patch stuff and whatnot was all Dragonmaw. Does it make sense? Because was he even the clan chief at the time? He wasn't the war chief, was he? During Cataclysm? Garrosh? It was after Cataclysm that he became war chief, right?
Holy shit, I can't remember. No, it was in Cataclysm because he blew up Theramore. That was one of his things. That was in Cataclysm. Was it?
No, that was in Mists. He was okay. So Mist predates WoD, not Cataclysm. So yes, he wouldn't have been. So there would have been plenty of time for him to have ingratiated himself to the Dragonmaw clan. And
you got beeping going on the side. I don't know if you can hear that.
Yeah, it's the fucking system. I don't think it's recording. It's system sounds. So, but if you're hearing it, maybe it is.
I thought you meant it's not recording at all.
I can hear it too.
Yeah, I can hear.
Yeah, but that's just the PC sounds, I think.
Why are they going off?
Because the laptop has updates.
Oh.
Anyway,
Okay.
cut it out, Jim.
Cut it out.
I don't think they're coming through. But yeah, no, I think it was after No.
Well, even so, overall,
Yes,
go back to the original point. Like even Miss was a great expansion, and it still didn't have that.
You didn't know who the end guy was going to be. It
Yeah,
ended up being Garrosh.
I mean, we kind of knew he was a prick, but it wasn't.
But it wasn't
extremely well known, and we were kind of all over the place.
Right, because it started with us versus the Alliance fighting over newly rediscovered land, trying to get a foothold in there and all that stuff. And why did we even go there?
Which hell, I don't know. Do you consider? Wait, Pandaland? Are you talking about where we went to Pandaland?
Yeah. Why did we go to Pandaland?
I think we bumped into it because in the starting quest, you meet the Crashlanders, and that's how you decide where to go.
Yeah.
And by the time that opens up, isn't that one of those things like, we have to be first to...
Yeah, there's that opening cinematic where they're talking about...
Take the turtle. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know, because we go there, and Yeah, we're just there fighting, and then it just kind of goes from there, and we get involved in like the local conflicts and all that stuff, and befriend whomever. Which I don't even know if I've done that on the Alliance.
Which
side.
that could have
I must
been
have.
what's his nuts being starting to be corrupted that led us to that location.
Garage? I don't think so, because he would never have been in contact with your Sarge. I don't think that, unless Nazoth was doing some shit previously, but he was corrupted by Yasharj, the heart of Yasharj that they had.
Yeah, I don't know.
Chained
I don't
up.
recall what led to that point.
I don't know. I don't either. He's dead. Who cares?
Oh my god.
That's one thing.
It's
That's
just
not, that's
it's just
persisted.
interesting because like when you think about Shadowlands, one of my biggest frustrations is that like we still just don't know who and why so much, and I wish we did know more why and so much. Like who is the rune carver, right? Who is Zorval? Why the hell do we care? Right? Because I don't think there's enough to say that
I guess
the cycle of life is broken whenever the Shadowlands, other than it being its primary operation, why the hell does it really give a shit about life? Right? Because if you just live then die, then you go there. Why should it really care about whatever existence that you had, other than the fact that its little pathway is broken and it's not operating, at 100%. So just a lot of stuff like that irritates me lore wise.
Well, I don't know if hopefully we'll find out. I think that we're going to find out why they locked him up eventually, and I don't know if there's a bigger bad than the jailer for this expansion. I think, didn't they say that he was it? Like, this is the guy at the end.
Did they? Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, that doesn't necessarily leave out the influences that he has.
Right.
Because I remember reading about Nathrazim influence some way or another, and I think we even talked about Denathrius and the way he looks. Being a dreadlord.
I'm pretty sure dreadlords are Venthyr, because
when you wind that backwards though, like then where is that influence coming from, right? And why is this place so concerning, and to who and to why? When you look at the bigger cosmology chart,
yeah, why were they fucking around with the world of the living?
Right, yeah,
Unless so. If the realm of death is nigh eternal, and they've been there for millennia, right? And the jailer's been locked up for a few millennia less than they've been around for, or whatever, he would have had time to scheme and to build up alliances, like with Denathrius, to start kind of saying, okay, I'm done with this shit. I want out. We need to help build up my power. And, so start fucking around with the land of the living so that we can start slowly weakening the other realms of the Shadowlands and empowering me. And so he was basically playing the long con, using other people such as Denath, which would explain why the Dreadlords have been around and part of the Burning Legion. And because they're part of the Burning Legion, but they weren't necessarily part of the Burning Legion, so to speak. Because they were doing their own shit too, because they brought the Helm of Domination and Frostmourne to Ner'zhul and all that stuff. And then were they the ones that told Arthas to throw it out? Or did Ner'zhul do that? Somebody had Ner'zhul Frostmourne, which is how Arthas got it. Something had him cast it away, or convinced the Dreadlords that it was, or something. I don't know. There was something like that. So there's all kinds of strings being pulled, and we don't know how far back this influence goes and who's really doing it. I mean, he could have been running this scheme for years, and it's finally just culminated with.
Well, consider like if in Taurus, nope, not in Taurus. What's the dude's? Oh gosh,
Anduin?
Argus.
Oh,
Argus.
his death.
Wound up. Yeah. So if that wound up there, then who was the invisible hand making all that happen so that we could go there and, you know what I mean, push that direction?
I mean, the Nathrism, they could have had Sargeras' ear.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, that would be interesting because then you got like, well, then Illidan comes back into play because he's the one that ripped open that butthole portal that we wound up going to Argus with in the first place, right? Like, instead of just doing piece by piece, he was like, fuck it, let's finish it as soon as possible. And that's how we wound up in 8.3.
Yeah. I mean, sure, they're playing against.
8.3? Nope, 7.3. Whoa.
Whoa.
Whoa. You know what I mean, though? It's interesting. It's interesting that if it's woven that far back, that would be cool.
They're going to wreck a lot of shit, probably.
They're going to fuck shit up, though. It's going to be too much. It's even going back and considering that, like, maybe Sylvanas made a deal back in Lich King when she committed suicide. Even going back that far and considering stuff like that still feels weird. So,
yeah. All right.
But that's all I've got to say about that.
Yeah, and that's a pretty good point to go ahead and end this shindig. Thanks everyone for listening. We went over a bunch of shit about how Threads of Fate kind of sucks, Venari changes, doing achievements, talked a little bit about BC, a little bit about how the world's changed and how some persistence is nice. Talked about having a main antagonist throughout the whole expansion. Talked about how Ashara got wasted. Not literally, but story-wise. Thanks everyone for listening. You can check us out at facebook.com/server restartin. Shoot us a tweet at let me get this right. At server _restart. Yes. And yeah, until next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.